For many years, Uganda's national team, the Uganda Cranes, relied on players who learned football informally, mostly from engagements with their unprofessional community teams. That limited the country's ability to nurture players with the discipline and structure needed to compete internationally. In the 1990s, structured youth football began to take shape with the creation of the Kampala Kids League, better known as KKL. This gave hundreds of young players, including former Uganda Cranes players Emmanuel Okwi and Stephen Bengo, a chance to train under professional guidance and opened doors for them to later join the national team. Around the same time, the local football fraternity formed a group known as Friends of Football, or FOF, with a similar goal of nurturing young talent. These early efforts laid the foundation for Uganda's modern football academies. These institutions focused on teaching, mentoring, and creating pathways for young players to progress into senior clubs and the national team. Though the target was for these talents to feed the clubs and eventually the national team, the first beneficiaries of the nurtured talents were the traditional schools such as St. Mary's Chitende, Chibuli Secondary School, and Budo SS, who recruited the youngsters to play for their schools. Though the school's intention was to use the players to promote the institutions, this further helped football in a way that the schools hired professional coaches who nurtured the players to better standards.
Comes in quickly, ball slips out of the hands of the goalkeeper, and a chance to referee to point onto the spot.
And years later, the fire is kept burning by the emergence of more academies like Rays of Grace and El Cambio, founded in 2015 and 2018 respectively. Both institutions focus on providing education alongside football training, particularly for children from disadvantaged backgrounds.
The young players that I brought in 7 years ago, they are now turning 16, 17, 18. So you can imagine that this has been a long journey, and now we see the fruits coming out. Now we have 68 boys and girls at the academy, and in 1 year we have 85. And we have 85 of the best players in Uganda.
And our biggest objective was to give opportunity to vulnerable players, to vulnerable children that have talent, not specifically only in football, but to access quality education and also access great opportunities for their future using their talent.
El Cambio established its own Masaka Sunshine FC to give young players a platform to compete regularly.
We just made a football club called Masaka Sunshine for our players to get a bit of exposure. They are 13, 14, 15, 16 when they play these adult players. We need to find ways of how we can face challenges here in Uganda. So this is one thing, we get a challenge. Our small young teenagers are playing up against big boys. That's one thing. And then secondly, as I said, we can then transfer players out of this club.
Their efforts are now bearing fruit. Of the 23 players on Uganda's under-17 national team playing in the FIFA World Cup, 8 come directly from these academies.
When we see over 2 players on the Uganda national team World Cup squad, like Wanyama, like Abdul Ntege, like Arafat, and this keeps us growing, and this keeps our opportunity and opportunities for academy very open.
Remember, we are many footballers in this country, so to be one of the few that can represent, and now on the biggest stage in the world for the World Cup, that is special for them. So for them, it's special. For the younger ones we have at the academy, they have now role models to look up to. They also want to achieve some of the same things.
The academies have also begun forming partnerships with European clubs, aiming to give their players more exposure and professional opportunities abroad.
I am from Denmark, so we are working with this club called AGF, and we have made a long-term investment with them for 15 years. We have an agreement, so it's obvious that we are working close to this club, and right now it's leading the table in Denmark. It is the third biggest club in Denmark. So it's a strong team, and we have our kids to go there all the time.
However, they admit that the journey has not been easy, with limited funding, facilities and lack of international exposure being their biggest challenges.
Besides the mainstream football, youth football and grassroots football is the most expensive environment that you will never think about. Because even buying shoes for these players from age of 6 to when they become, under 17 players, it's a big investment.
As Uganda participates in the under-17 World Cup, the duo believe the country's investment in young talent is finally yielding results.
So many scouts are going to be attracted to seeing more of the talent in Uganda, and the fact that we have the World Cup under 17, the World Cup under 17 going on. Now, in 2027, we have AFCON coming to Uganda, meaning that is a great opportunity for all clubs, for scouts, for agents to start nurturing talent and putting it on the market. Who knows? 1 or 2, 3, 4 players might be scouted for Europe.
We want them to go out there, get the exposure, come back, and then perform for Uganda. Not so. So all the other ones that are not equally good, let's call them B players, we also have a plan for them. Maybe in Uganda, maybe they go to America.
The growth of football academies has not only changed the face of Ugandan football, but also given hope to a new generation of players who now dream of representing their country on the world stage. Regina Naluja, NTV Sport.